Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we will learn about the introduction to genetics. In this video, you will learn about definition of genetics, heredity, variation, genotype and phenotype, gene, and alleles. So the definition of genetics is the study of heredity and variation of inherited characteristics. It can also be defined as the genetic makeup and phenomena of an organism, type, group, or condition. So, we have two phenomena, heredity and variation, and the study of heredity and variation of inherited characteristics is known as genetics. Genetics can also be defined as the study of the genetic makeup of a certain organism or characteristics when we deal with the study of a particular type of DNA of an organism, whether it concerns an organism or a characteristic, it is known as genetics. So what is heredity and variation? In the previous slide, we said that genetics is the study of heredity and variation. So what basically is heredity and variation? So what is heredity? Have you ever wondered why the family members resemble each other? Like you have some features which are similar to your parents. This is because of the phenomena known as heredity. Here, you can see that the parent and the offspring look like each other. They share some features, and the phenomena through which an offspring inherits the features of a parent is known as heredity. Here, the parent has brown eyes, so does the offspring. So, the phenomena which leads to parents and offsprings having same characteristics is known as heredity. Next, we have variation. You don't exactly look like your parents. Like there are some characteristics which differ among you and your parents. So the phenomena which leads to such differences among a species is known as variation. Here you can see that the father has black hair and the offspring has brown hair. So there is a difference. So this difference is due to the phenomena known as variation. Here the parent has brown eyes and the offspring has green eyes. So the difference among the species, because the parent and offspring, they belong to the same species. So here they have different eye color because of the phenomena known as variation. Next we have genotype and phenotype. These two terms are used repeatedly in genetics. So what is genotype? It is a genetic complement that is the genes in an individual for a particular trait. Next, the phenotype is a form of appearance of a trait. Let's take an example that there is a gene which codes for the flower color. So the gene present inside the organism would be the genotype, and appearance of flowers, let it be yellow or red, it would be the phenotype. So next, if you have black hair, the gene for black hair, the appearance of black hair would be the phenotype, and the gene present inside you would be your genotype. So the DNA present inside an organism makes up the genotype, and the appearance of characteristics coded by the DNA is known as. Here we have another example. Let's say this is a gene which codes for the hair color. So the appearance of black hair is the phenotype. Similarly, the appearance of brown hair is also the phenotype. So the gene present inside which codes for the hair color is the genotype, and appearance of hair is the phenotype. So next we have the concept of gene. I have used the term gene repeatedly in this lecture. So a gene is the basic unit of biological information and are actually parts of DNA comprising its base sequences. The DNA is composed of millions of base pairs, and these specific base pairs here make up a gene. So basically, a longer strand of DNA is composed of small portions of base pairs which make up a gene, and these genes store the biological information of a certain organism. The position where a gene is present on a DNA strand is known as its locus. Next, we have the concept of alleles. Genes are present in form of pairs, and this gene pair is either referred to as alleles or allelic pair. Chromosomes are present in the form of homologous pairs which are identical to each other. and each chromosome of the homologous pair has one copy of the gene. These gene pair can either be identical or different from each other. Let's take an example. Here we have a gene A, which is present on the same location on both the chromosomes. These genes on both chromosomes are for a specific trait, meaning these genes control the same trait. But these genes can either be identical or different from each other, meaning this gene A and here gene A, they control a same trait. But this gene A may differ from the gene A present on the second homologous chromosome. This concept will be much more clear in the upcoming topics. As I said that the allelic pair can be identical or different from each other, this gives rise to the concept of homozygous or heterozygous alleles. So, what are homozygous alleles? They refer to the gene pair which is identical, which means that both the genes present on the homologous pair are identical to each other. Let us take an example. Here, for example, let us say that the gene A, it controls the trait of flower color. So, in a homozygous allelic pair, both genes code for red color flowers. So, they are identical to each other. Next, we have heterozygous alleles. They refer to the gene pair which is not identical. The genes present in the homologous pairs are present on the same location and code for the same trait, but the genes themselves are different. Here, for example, the genes of the allelic pairs do not code for the same flower color. This gene A with a capital A, it produces red colored flowers, and here the gene with a small a, they produce yellow colored flowers. So they are present on the same location, they are controlling the same trait, but their expression is not same. One produces red flowers and one produces yellow flowers. In this case, the allelic pair is referred to as heterozygous alleles. In previous concept, we learned that genes of allelic pair can differ from each other. In such case, one type of gene can be dominant over the other. What is a dominant allele? A dominant allele is an allele which produces a phenotype in an organism having one copy of the allele. They are denoted by capital letter. For example, let us say that this capital R, it controls the flower color and it produces the red color flowers and it is dominant over the other. To make this concept clear, we will go through several examples. Let us say that a certain organism has homozygous allelic pair of R which produces red flowers. These both genes are identical to each other and they produce red flowers. Here, the phenotype of the organism will be of red flowers only, as the organism has only one type of genes, which code for red flowers. Here, the dominant allele cannot show its dominance because both of the members of the allelic pair are the same. Next, let us take an example where the allelic pair is not identical, meaning it is heterozygous. Here, one gene of the allelic pair is capital R while the other one is small r. Small r produces yellow flowers. So in this case, what kind of flowers will be produced? As I mentioned before, the capital R is a dominant allele, so the organism will have red flowers. The expression of the small r gene, which produces yellow flowers, is masked by the capital R gene because it is a dominant allele, and for its expression, only one copy is enough. Similarly, here we have another example of eye color. Let us suppose gene for brown eyes is a dominant allele. So here we have only expression of brown eyes because only gene coding for brown eyes is present. Here the organism has heterozygous pair because gene coding for green eyes is also present. But the phenotype is of brown color because the gene coding for brown eyes is dominant over the gene producing green eyes. Next we have recessive alleles. A recessive allele is an allele which can produce a phenotype in an organism only when two copies of the allele are present. They are denoted by a lowercase letter, for example, R is a recessive allele which produces yellow flowers. The concept will get more clear with examples. We have previously discussed this situation before discussing the dominant alleles. The gene R is unable to express itself because of the presence of the dominant allele, which masks expression, making it an recessive allele. So here, although the gene r, which codes for a yellow flower, is present, the organism will still have red flowers because this gene is dominant over the small r, or the gene producing the yellow flowers. Now, in this example, the organism has homozygous allelic pair, as both genes are recessive alleles coding for yellow flowers. So the organism will have yellow flowers as there is no dominant allele present to mask the expression of small r gene. So this recessive allele is able to express itself and the organism produces yellow flowers. Here, in the example of eye color, the gene for green eye color is unable to express itself because of the presence of gene coding for brown eyes. So the organism has a phenotype of brown eyes. But here, both the genes of the allelic pair are identical, that is, gene coding for green eyes are present. The organism will have green eyes because the gene coding for brown eyes is absent, which masks its expression. So, the small r gene expresses itself and green eyes are produced in the organism. A dominant allele expresses itself even in the presence of recessive allele. Thus, a dominant allele requires only one copy to express itself, while a recessive allele requires two copies to express itself, as it cannot express itself in the presence of dominant allele, because a dominant allele masks the expression of a recessive allele. So we are done with this lecture. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I will get back to you. See you guys next time. Take care.